Connor Lamb and Republican Rick Saccone as President Trump traveled to the Keystone State over the weekend. The president's son, Donald Trump Jr., will also campaign alongside Saccone. That'll happen today in just the next short little while. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Sandra Smith, host of Kennedy on Fox Business Kennedy. Also from FBN, anchor of the Intelligence Report, Trish Regan. Joining us in the center seat, Donald Trump's former campaign manager and senior advisor and spokesperson for America First Action, Corey Lewandowski, is outnumbered. Hello.
Hey. How are you today?
Fantastic. And yourself?
One lucky guy today.
Oh, see, now there you go.
Right?
There you go. Happy Monday.
It's great to be here.
All right, let's get to the news. The special election I mentioned in a deep red district in western Pennsylvania is being viewed by some as a test of President Trump's influence on voters ahead of the midterm elections. The president won that district by nearly 20 points over Hillary Clinton in 2016. And he was back there Saturday night touting Republican candidate Rick Saccone while going after his Democrat competitor, Connor Lamb. Watch.
I really feel strongly about Rick Saccone, and I know him. I feel strongly about him. He's an incredible guy. Connor Lamb, Lamb the Sham, right? Lamb the Sham. He's trying to act like a Republican, so he won't give me one vote. Look, I don't know him. Looks like a nice guy. There's no way he's voting for us ever. Rick is going to vote for us all the time. All the time.
Lamb has earned the backing of powerful local unions. Yesterday, he vowed to keep his promises to fully fund labor union pensions, Medicare, and Social Security, while bashing Republicans on those very issues. Watch.
I do not believe, as Paul Ryan does, that these are entitlements or another form of welfare. If I have anything to say, if I have the honor of serving as your next member of Congress, we will extend the same thank you and recognition, not just in words, but in actions. We will secure these rights and benefits that you have earned over the course of a lifetime of service to this country.
Despite Lamb distancing himself from House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, President Trump tweeted this earlier today, quote, "The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette just endorsed Rick Saccone for Congress. He will be much better for steel and business, very strong on experience and what our country needs. Lamb will always vote for Pelosi, and Dems will raise taxes, weak on crime, and the border." Corey Lewandowski, why is it Lamb the Sham, as the president says?
Look, what the president went out to Pennsylvania for on Saturday and what he's reminding the voters of the 18th Congressional District of Pennsylvania is very simple. Washington, D.C. is exceptionally partisan. There were no Democrats that voted for a historic tax cut. And Lamb can say one thing as he's running, but the bottom line is when they get to Washington, we've seen this time and time again. They say one thing in the district, they vote completely differently when they get back to Washington. And what the president's reminding people of is, if you like the job he's doing, which is steel tariffs, aluminum tariffs, saving the coal industry, passing historic tax cuts, then he needs help in Washington, and the person who's going to do that is not going to be Connor Lamb.
So, Corey, what you're pointing out is that the president did the one thing we know can work, and that's to take your local politics local.
Well, that's exactly right. And look, the issues in this district are steel and coal and aluminum. And it's been a region. Look, this district actually has a larger number of registered Democrats than it does Republicans. But Donald Trump carried the district by 20 points over Hillary Clinton because he talked about the issues that they cared about the most.
And quite frankly, the economy, right? I mean, this state, as we were discussing on the show last week, has got a higher unemployment rate than the average in the nation right now. That being said, what does the outcome of this election, Corey, mean for the midterms? Or tell us.
Well, it's interesting. If you look back at the 5 special elections that have taken place in House races since this president has gotten elected, the Republicans have won all 5. But the Democratic turnout in those 5 has been disproportionately higher than it was on Election Day in 2016. So if you look at even states like Montana, in South Carolina, states where the Republicans still held those seats, the Democrats had a much higher turnout than they did on Election Day. And what that tells us is the Democrats are exceptionally motivated. The president talked about this on Saturday night. He said, don't become complacent just because we won the last election. You have to turn out.
So, Trish, we saw a little bit of that in Texas because we saw a lot of Democrats turn out, but it didn't help them in that state.
No, it didn't help them. I mean, I'm watching Pennsylvania very carefully, very closely. I think the one challenge for Republicans in all this is they haven't completely still embraced Donald Trump. And the reason is in part because he hasn't embraced their policies, right? I mean, you think tariffs, for example. How many Republicans have been all up in arms over tariffs? Yet this is something that plays so well in places like Pennsylvania. So in some ways, you know, he's not a party guy. He doesn't strike me as being just, you know, hook, line, and sinker for the Republican Party. And I think his star power is in part why so many Democrats came over, along with his policies. But I don't know as it translates in every other state. I don't know, I mean, let's face it, Rick Saccone is no Donald Trump. He doesn't have that charisma. So will he be able to generate enough of a response? I don't know.
But it's interesting, Kennedy, because you're right, Rick Saccone is no Donald Trump. But it takes it beyond the actual candidates in the race from presidential awareness becomes part of the issue in the state. I mean, the president, he still lands on Air Force One, no matter how much he talks about steel and aluminum. It still brings something with it.
He does, and he was the one candidate running in 2016 who understood the plight of people in places like this part of Pennsylvania.
And in all fairness, went there.
And, what he's saying with a fiery speech like that and that outreach is, I'm still taking care of you. I have not forgotten about you. The agenda is still very much alive. That's what you voted for. And that's why Saccone had a pretty small part to play in this rally. What I think is very interesting and the thing to watch for Democrats here is if they do pull out a victory, Lamb is not a contrast to Donald Trump. Lamb is a contrast to Hillary Clinton. And he's the type of candidate that Democrats will be interested in running. Also very different from the vastly progressive voices you've seen, especially from people who flirted with running on the Democratic ticket in 2020.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point, Corey, because, there is some question mark. I know that Conor Lamb grew up Catholic, but there's some question mark about how really yoked he is to pro-life issues and others if he's not just doing it politically. But I don't know that it matters as much as it does what Kennedy's talking about. It gives Democrats a different look.
Well, it does. And Conor Lamb, I think, is the type of candidate that the Democrats should be trying to embrace across the country. He's got a military pedigree to him, right? Do
you think they are?
Look, they should. You can run as far left progressives, or you can run as the Conor Lambs and try and go to Washington and try and actually work with the administration on important issues. And if the Democrats are going to be successful in taking back the House in some of these swing districts, and Pennsylvania could have as many as 4 of them when they redraw this map, you need candidates, if you're going to be a Democrat, like Conor Lamb, who's going to say, look, I've served my country. He's an attractive guy. He's very articulate. He's smart. And he's not so far to the left that he turns off the mainstream people who go to work every day. He could be the type of candidate moving forward, if the Democrats want to be successful, that they embrace.
So maybe this is a hint, Trish, that they may not be paying too much attention or care that much. The big news about Conor Lamb within his own party has been the fact that he voted or would not vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi, we've said over and over again, has become a modern-day Marie Antoinette. And the crumbs comment did her no favor. She's tried to back off from it, rightly so, because crumbs, like $1,000, are not crumbs.
What a gift to Republicans, though, that phrase.
That's what the president said, almost as good as deplorable.
Exactly. I mean, but Conor Lamb, he needs to distance himself from that because, Nancy Pelosi is not going to play in Pennsylvania. Absolutely not. Hillary Clinton didn't play in Pennsylvania.
Okay, can I just add one thing to that? I think Democrats would be insane if they do, in fact, win the House back, to have Nancy Pelosi as their speaker once again. I mean, they have to move in a different direction because if Conor Lamb wins, there's no way that she can service these voices who are desperately trying to distance themselves from someone like that who's so incredibly out of touch.
Well, California has already made that decision with Dianne Feinstein.
With Dianne Feinstein, that's right.
She didn't get an endorsement. All right, we'll move on. President Trump is now denying a report claiming that he's looking to shape up his legal team amid the Russia investigation. This is a former Trump aide is giving clues on where he thinks Mueller's team may be headed next. Keep watching. And Republican Senator Jeff Flake says the president should face a Republican primary challenger in 2020. Whether that will happen and if such a move would hurt or help the GOP, we'll talk about it. Stay with us. Corey Lewandowski's on the couch.
It would be a tough go in a Republican primary. The Republican Party is the Trump party right now, but that's not to say it will stay that way.
Fox News alert, new fallout over the Russia probe. President Trump now slamming a New York Times report, claiming that he is unhappy with his legal team and looking to add a veteran Washington lawyer amid apparent concerns that, as the Times put it, the investigation is unlikely to end anytime soon. But the president denying that, tweeting, quote, the failing New York Times purposely wrote a false story stating that I'm unhappy with my legal team on the Russia case and am going to add another lawyer to help out. Wrong. I am very happy with my lawyers, John Dowd, Ty Cobb, and Jay Sekulow. They are doing a great job and have shown conclusively that there was no collusion with Russia. Just excuse for losing. The only collusion was that done by the DNC, the Democrats, and crooked Hillary. The writer of the story, Maggie Haberman, a Hillary flunky, knows nothing about me and is not given access. Meantime, former Trump campaign aide Sam Nunberg, after earlier threatening to defy Mueller, now singing a different tune about the probe after his grand jury testimony. Nunberg telling ABC News, quote, no, I don't think it's a witch hunt. There's a lot there, and that's the sad truth. I don't believe it leads to the precedent. Nunberg says he never personally worked with anyone who was unethical, including his boss and mentor, former campaign aide Roger Stone, who has denied any wrongdoing. But Nunberg says he is, quote, very worried about Stone. Pardon my cold. It's a challenging day for me on this Monday morning. Corey, what do you make of all the latest developments here, and certainly seeing that this is not over?
Well, I don't think the Mueller investigation is going to wrap up anytime soon. And I think what the president has said and what his team has said is they've been willing and able to cooperate on everything that the Mueller team has asked for. They've turned over emails. They've made people available. The Mueller team has investigated or sat down with 14, 15, 20 people that have worked either currently or have worked in the White House. So that shows a level of cooperation which is unprecedented. But I do think what has been clear from everybody was that there was no collusion here. And if Bob Mueller wants to find out, was there any collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia? There was none. That's been unequivocal. Now, if people lie to the Mueller investigators, they should be held accountable for that. And we've seen the individuals who have lied to them over a number of things are being held accountable for that. And that's perfectly fine. And I'm sure the president's okay with that. But you have to bring this to a conclusion, and that needs to be done soon to show that the president didn't do anything wrong.
Is there any truth, though, that he's unhappy with his legal team?
I think he's been very happy with his legal team. I haven't spoken to the president about it, but I think he's very happy so far.
Okay, what about some of the people who have been so problematic from early on in the campaign, like Sam Nunberg? You know, it has been utterly bizarre watching him make the rounds, and I really feel that he was having a psychotic break, and CNN and MSNBC were taking advantage of that. And I thought in a lot of ways it was almost pornographic. It was very disturbing to watch, but Nunberg won't stop. And he keeps saying there is a there. And the president's inner circle has committed some sort of political atrocity. What is he referring to?
Well, look, Sam Nunberg, I fired him on 2 separate occasions. He was fired 3 times ultimately by the Trump organization. I fired Sam finally for the last time in August of 2015, so shortly after the campaign had launched.
Yeah.
So Sam has no access to information of anything that took place other than what's been out in the public mindset. But that being said, look, there is no there. I sat there with candidate Trump from before he ever came down that escalator all the way through June of 2016, and we never met with Russians. We never spoke to Russians. We never interacted with Russians. There was no collusion. And what I've said was, if anybody tried to materially impact the outcome of this election, they should go to jail for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
That's what they should do. But what Sam is talking about, nobody knows, and I think it's a sad episode if you look at what took place with Sam Nunberg on television last week. I think it was last Monday and Tuesday. Clearly, there is some type of issue there that needs to be addressed, and I think that probably needs some professional.
Why'd you fire him 3 times?
Look, we fired him the last time because of the racist tweets that he had on his Facebook page that were that racist posts on his Facebook page. There was no place for that in the campaign.
How do you keep coming back?
Look, some of that predated me, I'll tell you. But Sam clearly has some issues that he needs to address from what he said. I thought he said was he was going to testify in front of the grand jury.
Why did the campaign allow people like that and George Papadopoulos and Paul Manafort? I mean, these are clearly compromised individuals. How did they get through that process?
Well, to be fair, there wasn't a deep vetting process during the campaign, and it wasn't that a whole bunch of people at the onset of the campaign were looking to join us. Sam was there prior to me coming onto the campaign. I spent some time with Sam, realized he wasn't the right type of person that we want to have in the campaign. We fired him. He came back. We fired him again. It's kind of like a bad penny, just keeps showing up. And so, look, you know, I'll take some responsibility for it. But by August of 15, when we knew Donald Trump was in first place and was going to be the Republican nominee or on his path to that, we knew there was no place in the campaign.
Meanwhile, Corey, you sat down for hours of questioning last week. How many to be exact?
12 hours of that I'll never get back from my life. The second time.
And we were told that you, after that meeting was over, that you wouldn't answer some questions because they were not relevant to the investigation.
Well, here's what I said. And look, the congressmen who are doing this on the minority side are very dishonest guys. I sat there and said, I will sit here all day and answer every question you want. And I said, ask me a question about Russia. Ask me a question about collusion. Ask me about anything that has to do with my time on the campaign. Don't ask me what I had for breakfast yesterday because it's not relevant. You can ask me if I had anything Russian for breakfast yesterday. I'll be happy to answer that question, which I didn't. But I sat there and answered a dozen hours of questioning. Okay? Then they started asking me about things that took place 2 months after the election happened. I said, look, I don't have anything to do with this. It had nothing to do with the outcome of the election. If you're asking me what took place in January or February of 2017, I have no idea. They were useless questions.
Can I ask one last question? Because I know you spent, I think, 8 hours the first time, 12 hours the second time. That's almost a complete day. Yet you hear Democrats talking about the fact that they may want to subpoena some people that they've already talked with. Is there any thought going forward, because you said, we don't know when the Mueller investigation is going to end, but we know it's not going to be immediate. I'm paraphrasing you from just a moment ago. Is there any reason why they would subpoena to bring you back that you know?
Look, I don't think so. I think I've answered all of their questions. I volunteered on 2 separate occasions to go there and spend time in front of the committee to demonstrate there was no collusion, there was no cooperation, there was no coordination. I've been very clear. I could have done the whole interview in 30 seconds. No collusion, no cooperation, no coordination, no Russians, end of the interview.
And here's what I had for breakfast.
And that's it. And that's what I had for breakfast. I had a French toast, right? Which is French, not Russian, okay? I don't have Russian
Freedom
toast.
toast.
Freedom toast.
All right, Corey, thank you. President Trump reigniting his feud with the media over the weekend after appearing to make peace with the press just last week. Why some say his latest comments went too far. Plus, President Trump sounding upbeat about his invitation from North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un to meet face-to-face, but not everyone in the mainstream media feels the same way, whether the criticism is warranted or just plain partisan politics.
I think they want to make peace. I think it's time. And I think we've shown great strength. I think that's also important. The South Korean representatives who just left North Korea came outside, big throng of press. They announced that North Korea, Kim Jong-un, would like to meet with President Trump. We've been very strong and very vigilant, and now lots of good things I think are going to happen, but we'll see. I think they want to make peace. I think it's time. And I think we've shown great strength. I think that's also important.
The president sounding optimistic about his invitation from North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un to meet in person. The when, the where, still to be determined, but the move would mark the first face-to-face encounter between leaders of the two nations in history. CIA Director Mike Pompeo says he's hopeful the talks can mark a breakthrough with North Korea.
This administration came in, the president talked about it in his campaign, and put enormous pressure on the North Korean economy and on the North Korean leadership. That gave us this opportunity where Kim Jong-un now has committed to stopping nuclear testing, stopping missile tests, allowing exercises to go forward, something that's been incredibly contentious in the past, and at the same time saying that denuclearization, complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization is a topic for discussion, but make no mistake about it. While these negotiations are going on, there will be no concessions made.
So experts saying that they're positive, but the entire panel on NBC's Meet the Press painted such a meeting as a failure at best, a disaster at worst. No positivity here. Watch.
How does any meeting between Trump and Kim not turn into a victory for the North Koreans?
It's hard to imagine how it doesn't. First of all, they've had a victory by setting the terms and by having the meeting itself.
What I think is riskier, though, is to have Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un hurling insults and threats at each other.
He will be impatient. And what is the downside if he gets angry at what he experiences? Then it escalates because you have no other option.
Then you don't have diplomacy to go to because you've exhausted your diplomacy. Then things go boom. That's the scary part.
All right, so the top diplomat for our nation right now, Rex Tillerson, is in on the African continent right now. He's in Nigeria. He just was telling Reuters that the U.S. has not heard anything back from North Korea, but expects to hear something directly from them soon.
Well, I think they will, and North Korea has traditionally been fairly slow to respond in the public format on these things. But they've used their emissaries through South Korea to make the request to the president. He accepted immediately. And what's astonishing to me is for 30 years, the geniuses that we just saw on NBC told us that everything was going to go great with North Korea. But what we've seen is the nuclearization of North Korea. Right? Don't forget, we gave North Korea $4 billion to make sure they didn't nuclearize about 30 years ago, and here they are testing weapons all the time. And what we've done for the first time in our lifetime, is the president has said, I'm willing to sit down and meet with you on one condition and one condition only. You stop testing nuclear weapons. You know what that means? If you live in South Korea, you live in Guam, you live in Hawaii, you can sleep a little safer at night knowing that Kim Jong-un is not going to launch an attack until at least he spends time meeting with the president. Why is that not being hailed as an opportunity and an ability to save people's lives? That's what we should be looking at right now.
It's interesting, Kennedy, because the last time that anything even approached this was Madeleine Albright. Yeah. She went over to North Korea, sat for 6 hours.
Took that Michael Jordan basketball. Really
Kim
worked
Jong-un's dad ill, some of these same things. And it was such a failure that it turned out to be an embarrassment for this country. So that was under the Clinton administration. So I can understand why maybe some of those people sitting around the table might not understand somebody with a different vision.
That was 3 administrations ago. And what we've learned is you can't necessarily trust North Korea when they say they're coming to the table. And that's why the president has been using unpredictability in a way that, I may not agree with him on tariffs. I may not agree with him on infrastructure and a number of other things. But here, I actually think he's created an advantage for the United States. And I think the unpredictability and the good cop, bad cop with Tillerson, I think it actually could work. And I think that people at NBC better hope that it works, and they better pray to God that we have peace on the Korean Peninsula, and this just might do it, because you have a president, he is unorthodox, but he can get in a room and he can read people. And if he looks eye to eye with this leader and actually gets something done, that's a positive, not just for the United States, but for the world. There are 3 things every president wants. They want to tame Russia, they want peace in the Middle East, and they want to neutralize North Korea.
Is that what Barack Obama wanted?
He paid lip service to quite a few things. Very florid speaker.
That being said, Corey, knowing this president so intimately during your time heading up his campaign, how has his strategy and his plans, if elected president at that time, how has his strategy evolved now through his presidency, would you say?
Well, look, as it relates to North Korea specifically, they've put massive amounts of economic sanctions on North Korea, which has really stymied that economy. He's gone to countries like China and Russia and said, let's work together to impose those economic sanctions. And clearly they've worked, because North Korea is not doing well economically. And so what this president said, first we start with economic sanctions. Now we're going to sit down and have a negotiation. I understand the historic nature of the president of the United States sitting down with the leader of North Korea. It has never been done before. But our policy towards North Korea has failed.
Is this meeting a result of those sanctions?
This meeting is a result of Donald Trump saying we need to do things differently because the people at Foggy Bottom, where the State Department is for the last 30 years, have failed our country.
So some, like Ambassador John Bolton, formerly of the UN, and on this channel quite often, has said that it was actually the promise of military might behind the diplomacy and the economic sanctions, because we had 25 years of economic sanctions. Real quick, last thought.
Economic sanctions, they can work. They do work. I think the president also worked aggressively with China, put a little pressure on China. Maybe the steel tariffs relate back to all of that, to get China to pressure North Korea as well. This is a very optimistic sign. I was happy on Friday. That plus 313,000 jobs added to the economy.
Kim Jong-un is terrified of the military consequences.
Behind kind of the layering there. All right. Most first-term presidents face no opposition for renomination. But GOP Senator Jeff Flake says someone should challenge President Trump in 2020. Could that happen? And would it hurt or help the GOP? And Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren pressed on whether she will run in 2020. And her claim of Native American heritage, an issue sure to dog her in any campaign. Ahead, her response to a point-blank question from our own John Roberts. Stay close.
Would you be willing to take a DNA test to put this issue to rest?
Fox Fox News alert, the president is hosting the World Series world champs Houston Astros at the White House right now. Let's listen.
The World Series was one of the greatest baseball games anybody has ever seen. Tremendous for the sport, and it's really a reminder why baseball is our national pastime. Thank you to the Energy Secretary, Rick Perry. And we love Rick, right? Did I do the right job with Rick? I think we did the right job. Right, John? There's John Cornyn, too. You know John, you're a great senator. And is that Ted Cruz? That's Ted Cruz right there. We have well represented. You're well represented today. But I do want to thank Senator Cornyn, Senator Cruz, Representative Kevin Brady. Where's Kevin? Where's Kevin? Kevin, are we going for an additional tax cut, I understand? He's the king of those tax cuts, yeah. We're going to do a phase 2. I'm hearing that. You hear that, John and Ted? Phase 2. We're actually very serious about that, Kevin. So it's good. But Kevin Brady is a spectacular person and did a really incredible job with the tax cuts. And to all of the members of the Texas Congressional Delegation, thank you very much. A delegation of great people. Thank you all for being here. It's a big delegation. You all show up for the Houston Astros, don't you, huh? That's great. To Jim Crane, General Manager Jeff Lunau, President Reed Ryan, Skipper A.J. Hinch, become very famous. A.J., you become very famous, I have to tell you. That was a great job of skippering. And to all of the players and staff, congratulations on your incredible victory. It was indeed. After the devastating Hurricane Harvey, incredible that with what you went through, that you're the champions with what you went through with Harvey. It's a really befitting tribute. What was really a show of world spirit and Houston strong. You were Houston strong. I also want to thank some of the heroes of Hurricane Harvey who join us today, including members of the incredible Cajun Navy. Right here, these guys. Right. Right, John, thank you. John, you have John Bridgers, you have Ben Husser, Reverend Louis Husser. He said he was praying for me. That's good. Thank you. That's always nice. That helps. Louis Husser, and that's your boy, huh? Your son. Great. Billy Braniger, John Abel, and Daniel Richardson, Cajun Navy. Thank you very much for being here. Jim McIngvale, known as the Mattress Mac. I met him early on in the campaign. Where's Jim? I met him early in the campaign. And I think you stayed with me, didn't you? Huh? You were right there, Jim. But I met him early. He liked me. I liked him. Mattress Mac. Great job you've done. Going to sell a lot of mattresses after today. And he knows what he's doing, right? He knows what he's doing. Thank you very much, Jim, for being here. When Harvey struck, I will say this, Jim, Mattress Mac, opened the doors to his furniture store and provided food and shelter to hundreds and hundreds of people. And when the Astros made it to the World Series, he paid to send first responders of Hurricane Harvey to Game 6 in Los Angeles. And he's a real Texas guy, not just Houston, Texas, right? And I want to thank every member of the Astros team who spent time with those displaced in shelters. You held food and supply drives all over Texas and beyond and gave millions and millions of dollars of your salaries. I know you're doing pretty damn well. You're going to be doing even better now. Boy, would I like to be. Can I be your agent? Huh? I want to be your agent. Look at Jim. He doesn't find that funny at all. When Maria ravaged Puerto Rico weeks later, the Houston Astros redoubled their assistance, and many of them went there and helped. Really great. Our administration will continue to stand by the people of Texas and Florida and Puerto Rico, Louisiana, even Alabama and so many other places were affected, and we're standing by all of them. Texas was incredible, the way they recovered. You had a devastating hurricane. It kept going. I've never seen anything like it. It went in, and you thought it was gone, and it came out and got more water. In, out, 3 times. There's never been anything like it that we've seen. From the standpoint of water, not even close. There has never been anything so bad, and yet you recovered so incredibly well. I was there very shortly after, and some of the streets that were 6 feet high in water, you could hardly notice that they were affected. In one case, a man was actually cutting his lawn. I said, the lawn's pretty wet, isn't it? He wanted to cut it anyway. Oh, look who we have, Louis Gohmert. Louis, boy, I'll tell you, what a good congressman. What a great job. Thank you, Louis. Thank you for being here. The Astros' victory for the ages was truly a team effort, and that is true. Everyone contributed. Everyone made critical plays. Everybody helped deliver the championship. Very few errors on that team. The Astros have had an incredible progression in recent years. Not so long ago, I'd watch, I'm a big baseball fan, and the team was not a good team. Maybe it was a good team, but it wasn't doing very well. And what you did this year was incredible, putting it all together. And it's true testament, really a true testament to the entire organization and to your many loyal fans. You have great fans. Texas is an amazing place. Great fans. It's tough stuff. Winning the World Series required years of effort, faith in your vision, and an unwavering will to succeed. And now what happens a lot of times is you get a little complacent and bad things happen. I don't think that's going to happen to this team. There'll be no complacency, fellows. Just forget about last year, right? Just put it down as a great memory, but no complacency. How about George Springer, the most valuable player of the World Series? Where's George? Where's George? So let's see, George hit 5 homers. That's a lot of homers. During the Fall Classic, only the 3rd player ever to do so in history. That's pretty great. Way to go, George. And who could forget the amazing Jose Altuve? Where's Jose? He's much taller than I thought. Unbelievable. That's a hell of a team. Congratulations, Jose. That's really, what you've done is incredible. The American League MVP is a true fan favorite. He led his team in hits and set a new career high with a .346 batting average. .346. Wow, that's good. You know, I sat next to Stan Musial about 10 years ago before he passed away. And he was doing the circuit. And I think he said he played for 22 years and his batting average was .333. And I said, and he was never the happiest person after that because he figured he missed out. But I'll tell you, what a great guy. Stan the man, right? 22 years, .333 batting average, so that's good. But for this year, you beat him, right? That's great. That's good. Do it for another 22 years. He'll do it. Dallas Keuchel and Charlie Morton both won 14 games during the regular season, and they were tough. And Brad Peacock was very close behind. So, fellas, congratulations. Great job. Great job. Great job. Brad, great job. And, of course, the lights-out pitching of Justin Verlander. So I know Justin. Justin's a friend of mine, and Justin and I played golf. And I'm a pretty long hitter. This guy he is a monster. And he said he's a 2 or a 3 handicap, but believe me, he's much better than that. He's about a +2 or +3. But we loved playing, and it was really great. And what he wants to do is get back to pitching, and I think he's going to have a fantastic year. So good luck, Justin. Congratulations on the win. You know, pretty amazing if you're a baseball fan. Justin delivered 4 wins and 38 strikeouts in 6 playoff appearances. When you think about it, that's big stuff. To all of the players and management of the Houston Astros, I want to say once again, thank you for being true champions on and off the field. You really have. It really exemplifies what greatness is all about. You work hard, you strive to be the best, and you won really big. And it's a credit to the players here today, the Astros leadership, your millions of loyal fans in Houston and Texas and beyond Texas. You have a lot of fans beyond Texas. I have a guy, he's a New York guy. I don't think he's ever left the city, and he likes the Houston Astros. I said, how does that work? He likes the team. He likes what you represent. And the unbreakable spirit, you really do. It's an unbreakable spirit of the great state of Texas. So congratulations again. And with the opening day soon upon us, when is opening day?
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks? You nervous?
No.
Not even a little bit. I wouldn't be. Nobody nervous? Good. Good. Yeah, you want to be a little bit nervous maybe, right? But you're going to have a great year. They say the team is maybe even stronger, so that's pretty good. So with the opening day coming soon, I just wish everybody a really phenomenal season, a healthy season. You're going to go out there. You're going to do great. You're really expected to do very well. I see a lot of people are predicting you could do it again. And I say God bless you, God bless Texas, and God bless America. Thank you very much. And now, I'd like to invite my friend Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros, up to say a few words. Terrific guy, terrific success, and what a job you've done. Congratulations, Jim.
You've been watching the president congratulate the World Series champs, the Houston Astros. They took a few moments away from their spring training down in West Palm Beach, Florida, to accept the invitation of the president to visit the White House. And as you could hear, the president there at the beginning acknowledged a bunch of lawmakers in the room there. Senators Ted Cruz and John Cornyn were present for the ceremony. Rick Perry, the energy secretary, formerly the governor of the state of Texas, also Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert and Kevin Brady were in that room. A very enthusiastic president, happy to congratulate the Houston Astros on their big win. Customary for the president to do that for the champions of the World Series, and they graciously accepted, and we're told every single one member of the Houston Astros World Series championship team was present. Meanwhile, we've got this story coming up for you. The president has announced his new campaign slogan. We've got his former campaign manager on the couch today, and it includes an exclamation mark. And meanwhile, one Republican senator, Jeff Flake, says that the president should face a 2020 primary challenger. We'll see what Corey has to say about all that coming up. More Outnumbered in just a moment.
Our new slogan, when we start running in, can you believe it, 2 years from now, is going to be Keep America Great, exclamation point. But we can only do that if we elect people who are going to back our agenda.
President Trump looking ahead to 2020, revealing his re-election slogan at a rally Saturday in Pennsylvania for Republican congressional candidate Rick Saccone. The next day, GOP Senator Jeff Flake saying a Republican should challenge the president for the party's nomination in 2020, even as he admits it would be a long shot.
I do. I mean, it would be a tough go in a Republican primary. The Republican Party is the Trump party right now, but that's not to say it will stay that way.
Senator Flake, who is retiring after his current term, is a longtime critic of the president's. So let's start out with that campaign slogan, first of all, because you were mouthing it as the president said it. You obviously like it.
I love it.
Keep America Great, apostrophe.
Exclamation point.
Exclamation point.
Yes.
There goes the cold again. So you like it.
Look, if the president is able to continue to follow through on the campaign promises he's made and deliver for the American people, then it is a path of 4 more years of prosperity under this leadership.
It's hard to believe we're already talking about that, right, Trish?
Well,
here we go.
Yeah, no, we are. And look, I think it's a great slogan. There's like a positive energy there. Maybe the exclamation point helps. But, I think we've made so many strides economically. Hopefully, as we watch North Korea, we'll be able to make strides there in terms of our safety. And it is an opportunity to hopefully keep the country in a very good spot. That's the message he's trying to convey.
But apparently Jeff Flake still thinks he needs a primary challenger. What do you think, Kennedy?
I think the Republican Party is going to insulate the president. I think as long as the economy keeps going in the right direction, there's no need to allow for that sort of challenger. I'm not a fan of the two-party system. I think it would be great to see more voices in the race. I don't think the president has anything to worry about now. They joked about it on Saturday Night Live this weekend with the Bob Mueller bachelor mashup, which was very funny. I do think it's interesting because John Kasich, Jeff Flake is right in that no Republican is going to challenge him. John Kasich has come out and said, you know, there will be a third-party candidate. I think he fancies himself that third-party candidate. I think that's a bit of a moonshot, pie in the sky dream, but, you know.
Corey.
Well, look, 1 for 49 John, which is how many primaries he won in the presidential race. 1 for 49 John barely won his own state. But you have to ask yourself, if you're a Republican, what policies that this president has put in place are you opposed to? Are you opposed to economy growing? Are you opposed to unemployment with African Americans and Hispanics at all-time lows? Are you opposed to home ownership at all-time highs? What are you opposed to? Are you opposed to the stock market up, you know, thousands and thousands of points? Are you opposed to consumer confidence up through the roof? What is it that Jeff Flake takes umbrage with? Is he opposed to the Supreme Court nominee of Neil Gorsuch, who's on the Supreme Court? Is he opposed to the number of judges that Donald Trump has put on the bench?
I'll tell you what, because this is the conversation today after some of the words and some of the rhetoric that he used at that rally on Saturday. Even some Republicans you heard after that taking issue with the presidential nature of using such language.
Presidential nature of what? He's
I'm
the
just
president.
letting you know that that's what they're going to take issue with.
Yeah, but here's how it works. If he sneezes, it's a presidential sneeze. If it doesn't matter what it is anymore, he is the president. So the mainstream media wants to have a narrative about what should or shouldn't be presidential. And you saw the skit that he did up there.
Yeah.
He could stand there and be very presidential. That's not what got him elected. And so look at the policies that this president has put in place. The largest tax cut in our nation's history. Jeff Flake didn't come out and oppose that. And the reason Jeff Flake isn't running with all due candor is because he would have lost his primary, and he knows that because the president is opposed to
So
his
when you
campaign.
said earlier, you told us here on the couch that the president is telling his staff and getting his campaign ready, let's not sit back and relax here, you know, talking about Pennsylvania as the Republicans struggle there. What is the president going to come back at those critics on? How is he going to combat them? What is his message going to be?
Look, his message is I think this president's going to get on the road. He's going to be in states where he can see pickups like Missouri, and he can go to Montana, and he can go to North Dakota. We've recruited some great states,
Where does
U.S.
he think
Senate
he's going to
candidates.
struggle?
Look, I think he probably struggles in California, where he's going to tomorrow, right? And what you have there is you've got a number of senior members of Congress, because of term limits as chairman, are not seeking re-elections. And if states like California and Pennsylvania, if they redistrict, lose 10 or 12 seats, that's going to be a real problem in the House.
Look, he's got to energize his base again, and I am confident he's going to be able to do that. And if the base turns out because they want to keep him there, he's got a good darn shot.
All right, you got the last word. More outnumbered in just a moment.